This is Informer News, your voice of the people. Timeline is Sunday the 30th of June 2013. Welcome along my friends to another edition of Informer News. Coming up in this week's broadcast, what your governments are doing behind the scenes regarding the coming Nibiru event, plus retired Marine reveals hidden government secrets on Planet X Nibiru, and whistleblower and former US Army Colonel Robert Dean breaks his oath of secrecy to reveal details of highly classified NATO documents concerning UFOs. Okay, into this week's news. This first report originates from aliennews.org and was posted on the 10th of December 2011. There is near Dulce, New Mexico, an underground base of horror, William F. Hamilton, cosmic top secret. The local sheriff was there every night. UFOs observed in this area, precisely dismembered cattle were found. Hamilton's information on this base came from people who worked there, had been kidnapped there, who helped in the construction, and also of persons of intelligence. This is based on a genetic laboratory which links to Los Alamos, which also developed the atomic bomb. It was always an area of highest security level. There is an underground connection between Dulce, Los Alamos and Dreamland, another base in Nevada. There are genetic organisms, studies and comparisons between other intelligent races and species with respect to the human and extraterrestrial biological structure performed. Genetic engineering experiments are carried out on humans with the aim to create new breeds. All material related to the experiments with humans is Third Reich was seized by the Americans after the war. You continue working on the same line. Billions in taxpayers' money is invested in that area. This report originates from www.thinkaboutit.com and is titled Cosmic Top Secret by Richard Gall. Former US Army Colonel Robert Dean breaks his oath of secrecy to reveal details of the assessments of a highly classified NATO document concerning UFOs. For 27 years, Robert Dean served his country as a patriot and a soldier in the US Army. He led combat troops in Korea in 1951 and was in charge of intelligence operation patrols in South Vietnam in 1970. His long history in covert operations and intelligence gathering meant that Dean acquired a top secret security classification, and his expertise eventually earned him a prestigious job working for NATO at their supreme quarters of Allied Powers Europe, SHAPE, centre in Paris between 1963 and 1967. Dean's security classifications was then raised to Cosmic Top Secret, the highest NATO possessed. This enabled him to work in the Supreme Headquarter Operations Centre SHOC, which was effectively NATO's war room. It was while he was stationed here that Dean claimed he first discovered and read the assessments, a document which changed his life forever. The assessments, a hugely expensive black budget study commissioned by the US military, took 3 years to complete and involved 15 countries and numerous experts in many fields. When it was completed, it provided the authorities with the most thorough investigation into what was known about aliens and their involvement in human history. After retiring from the military, Dean became a full-time UFO researcher. He has lectured around the globe about the contents of the assessments and has continually warned the public that their democratic and constitutional rights are being flushed down the toilet because of the secrecy surrounding the UFO phenomena. How and when did you first hear about the assessment? When I arrived at SHAPE in 1963, my rank was Master Sergeant, and one of my duties was to sift through intelligence material from around the world. I had access to the war room, and it was here that I first began to hear rumours and gossip about a document known as the assessment. There were a lot of remarks and jokes because it was about UFOs. I discovered it had been commissioned in 1961, but it wasn't until 1964 that it was finally published and I managed to read it. Why was the assessment commissioned? In February 1961, 3 UFOs were tracked on radar entering Allied airspace. The event came so close to causing the US and Soviets to start firing at each other that Air Marshal Sir Thomas Pike, who was the Deputy Supreme Allied Commander in Europe, decided enough was enough. He went to his boss, General Lemnitzer, to ask permission to start an in-house study at SHAPE to determine what the origin of these objects might be. Pike was given permission to undertake the study by the Secretary General of NATO. For a while, each side thought the UFOs were some secret weapon belonging to the other side. But after detailed analysis, it became apparent that the technology involved was far beyond anything either NATO or the Soviets could possibly achieve. How did you actually manage to get your hands on it? I was working late in the war room and nothing much was happening, so we were sitting around drinking coffee. I was a little bored, so an Air Force controller walked over and pulled this document. It was about 1.5 inches, 3.75 centimetres thick. Out of the vault, he threw it down in front of me and said, "Here, read this. This'll wake you up." It didn't just wake me up, it completely changed my life. I've never been the same since. Did the assessment reveal the extraterrestrials' intentions? It stated that there was evidently some kind of plan or process unfolding, that the Earth and the entire human race is and has been the subject of an intensive ongoing survey by several ET civilizations. Evidence in the report showed that this extraterrestrial study had been going on for a very long time, possibly thousands of years, and that NATO and SHAPE policy dictated that the study of UFOs continue with as many resources as necessary being committed to the subject. What was the assessment's conclusion? It concluded that there apparently was not a threat from the aliens, and that in any case there was nothing that we could do to match them technologically. The assessment, subtitled "Of a Possible Military Threat to the Allied Forces of Europe," was around 450 pages long and also came from annexes and appendices which covered areas like meteorological and electromagnetic effects, as well as the predicted psychological and social effects that knowledge of ETs would have on the general population. Did the assessment mention how many different ET species were visiting us? They refer to 4 separate groups that they know of. There were incredible things happening, cases where UFOs would come down and land and beings would get out and make contact, speak in the person's language and invite people on board. There were different kinds. Some of them were little guys with green skin. Some looked like they had vertical pupils and skin like lizards. Some looked identical to human beings. It was this particular group that really seemed to worry the admirals and generals at NATO. Do you know if the number of known alien species has changed? When I retired in 1976, I still had my security clearance and I discovered we, the US military, knew of around 12. The latest I've been told from people I trust in the government is that there could be as many as 100. One type is said to look exactly like us, so that you could sit next to one in a restaurant and you would never know. Did you see any alien autopsy reports in the assessments? I saw photos and read a transcript of a commentary from a medical examiner who were conducting an autopsy on several alien bodies that had been recovered from a crash near Timmendorfenstadt in Germany in 1963 or 64. This thing was 30 meters in diameter and they discovered 12 little dudes in it. I saw photos of them loading the bodies on stretchers, little grey guys. All dead. There were photos of a British Army engineer battalion taking the disc apart. It came apart like a pie and they hauled away the pieces. What did the autopsy report reveal about the alien biology? They concluded that they had lung systems and could breathe our air. They had a circulatory system, although completely different to ours. There was no digestion system, no alimentary tracts, no rectum whatsoever, and they didn't appear to have any reproductive organs. What surprised the examiners most was the fact that they looked identical. They remarked that these guys seemed to have been cut from the same pattern, that maybe they were some kind of laboratory products. Has anyone else independently verified the existence of the assessment besides you? There have been other old boys like myself who have come forward and said Dean is telling the truth. I was there, I read it, including a retired Air Force 3-star general and a couple of admirals. Recently, a retired Soviet Major KGB, Olgan Kalgon, also confirmed the existence of the assessments in a lecture in the States. Did the Soviets carry out a study similar to the assessment? We found out later that they had their own study to determine if there was a threat to them. Lemitzer was responsible for setting up a direct line between himself and the commander of the Warsaw Pact. The understanding grew to be so successful that it eventually led to a direct line between the president and the Soviet premier. I'm sure the UFO situation eventually led to the end of the Cold War. The UFO situation is the most important subject in the history of human race. The people not only have the right to know, damn it, they need to know. I am angry because I see the constitutional system being rubbished, the cover-up, the lies, the secrecy, the black budget expenditure of 50 billion a year of taxpayers' money spent by people who are completely unaccountable. This is all a total violation of the constitutional system. You've broken your security oath. Why haven't the military taken action against you? I think the only reason I've got this far is that somebody in Langley CIA headquarters and Fort Meade NSA headquarters believes that what I'm doing is of value. Otherwise they would have shut me up long ago. I have no illusions about this. I used to work with the CIA in Southeast Asia, and if they want to shut you up, they go ahead and do it. What are the chances of the assessment ever becoming accessible to the public? Oh, eventually pretty good. People ask me why. I didn't use the Freedom of Information Act to try and get it, but it doesn't even work in this country, let alone on a NATO document. It will come out if we wait long enough. What do you think the extraterrestrial agenda might be? I believe that several of the groups are working together. I suspect that the wave of recent sightings around the world are examples of deliberate exposure. I also think there have been thousands of civilizations like ours who simply haven't made it, who became extinct because of their own brutality and stupidity. Finally, I don't rule out the possibility that human beings might have been seeded here a long time ago and that we might be related to certain extraterrestrial races. The implications of that are astounding. Note, Robert Dean's Cosmic Top Secret Security Classification is the highest NATO possessed at the time he worked at their Supreme Headquarters. Dean claims the area of UFOs was considered of the greatest importance and so sensitive that it was placed at the highest levels of classification, at or above top secret, cosmic top secret. In America, the highest classification comparable to this place is at 40 levels above the hydrogen bomb. Dean believes that the national security system in the US has become a self-created nightmare. You can have the highest levels of classification in one particular area, and that will not allow you access to information in another area. The point that he makes regarding security clearance suggests that there might be no one in possession of the full facts regarding the assessment. This next report originates from NibiruRise.com and was posted on May the 7th, 2013. Nibiru, a United States Marine, shares secret military insight about Nibiru's arrival. May the 7th, 2013. Nibiru, a retired Marine by the name of Vaughn, reveals hidden government secrets on planet Nibiru. Most people dismiss those who speak about Planet X, often because they feel they are not qualified or they are lying to the people for personal or financial gain. Vaughn has a heartfelt obligation to warn mankind of the impending doom that would follow the arrival of Planet X Nibiru. Vaughn refers to the arrival of Planet X Nibiru as the arrival of the red and blue planet. Him and many others claim that if you try, you can see Planet X Nibiru in the daytime sky. Vaughn shows you actual proof, multiple videos and images of what appears to be a blue spear in the daytime sky. Another image shows another spherical object to the left of the sun. So one must ask, are these actual images of Planet X Nibiru, or are they lens flare and camera anomalies? But are these images linked to other events taking place around the world? According to Vaughan, there are a group of psychics and prophets who have predicted world events such as North Korea building its first nuclear weapon. They also claim that there is a series of events leading up to the arrival of Planet X Nibiru and that they are somehow all interconnected. There is another theory presented by Vaughan, and that is the connection between chemtrails and planet Nibiru. Vaughan proposes that Nibiru may in fact be the reason for governments around the world spraying these chemtrails in weird, strange patterns. It is according to Vaughan that Planet X Nibiru may in fact be increasing the temperature on planet Earth as it approaches, having some sort of strange reaction with the sun, and as it approaches it is only going to get worse. Vaughan also states that if the military-industrial complex wasn't spraying our skies with these chemtrails, the Earth's temperature would be at least 20 degrees hotter than it is now. One must ask, how is it humanity will survive such horrendous conditions on planet Earth if these theories are true? One thing is certain, something is going on. Planet Earth is being abused by governments around the world, and after they cause disaster after disaster, they attempt to blame it on humanity. And now for more questions answered regarding Planet X Nibiru. This information originates from zetatalk.com and was posted on the 1st of June 2013. The question I have is, Russia backing Sierra government in the coming war for selfish reasons? This will be because they are aware of Planet X, aka Nibiru, is coming, and with the information from the Zetas as to the flooding of central Russia, the government of Russia is planning a move to this safer region. While the elite would wish that the strong leaders and people of Russia to be washed away and thus wish to control the region prior to the crustal shift officially intended to as a brainstorming on rising Islamist political forces in the region, stretching from the Atlantic coast of Africa to the Gulf that is racked by popular protest and discontent. The conference offered Russian officials, academics and journalists an opportunity to drive home the notion that conservative Russian Orthodox Christians and Islamists share a common value system. In reaching out to the Islamists, Russia hopes to catch several flies in one fell swoop. It aligns itself with, despite differences over Syria, with a influence in the whole Middle East and North Africa. Russia is after friendly relations and productive cooperation with all countries in Africa. President Valadimir Putin said this is a message to the Addis Ababa summit, marking 50 years since the foundation of what is now the African Union. He also praised the Union's role in conflict management, peacekeeping and advanced social and economic developments across Africa. Everyone wants a good partnership with African countries because, as we have often stated, Africa will be above the waves in the aftermath. Temperate and relatively underpopulated, it also has oil reserves. The issue of AIDS and Ebola viruses is considered minor by those wanting to inundate Africa, as careful quarantine and hygiene is considered effective containment. In fact, these viruses are considered a scourge of the locals, a population reduction mechanism rather than a threat. European countries have a bond with South African countries. In the Middle East have a bond with Islamist countries. In northeast of Africa, and US oil interests have tried to make inroads along the Ivory Coast. By its firm partnership with Iran and Syria, Russia plans a firm handshake with Islamists throughout Africa. Could our friends to answer, is there any interaction between Russia and Ukraine in relation to the expected announcement about Planet X or about pole shift? What plans have the elites of Ukraine in relation to ordinary citizens? Disclosure of Planet X and pole shift. We have repeatedly mentioned that heads of state around the world were informed by Bush in the fall of 2003 about the near presence of Planet X. They were told at the time that no severe earth changes would result, and that since panic in the public was the largest concern, that this was a matter of utmost secrecy. Other than spreading rumours among families and friends and business associates, such officials' information was held close. Now that the announcement admitting the near president of Nibiru, aka Planet X, is planned and about to be implemented, negotiations between heads of state have reached a fever pitch. What type of issues are discussed and what are the bargaining chips? First, commonality is sought, and where two countries both have the same policy on a matter, this might be assumed for both China and Russia, who anticipate migration into their territories from flooded regions. For China, this is from the south, and for Russia from the west in Europe. But both want firm and well-protected borders. They agree to respect each other's borders, and thus troops do not need to be deployed along these shared borders. Second comes the use of bargaining chips, such as between France and the new government in Libya, which France assisted to be free of Gaddafi. France knows much of its land will flood, and Libya is right across the Mediterranean. The Ukraine is on the edge, where some of its land will be above the waves, but all to the east in Russia will be flooded. Migration will flow in two directions. First from the flooded lands in Russia to high ground in the Ukraine, and then, as Europe is likewise afflicted with flooding, back towards Russia in the desperate search for a land route to high ground. This final report originates also from ZetaTalk.com. Looking beyond the anticipated announcement by Obama admitting the near presence of Nibiru, aka Planet X, last week Zeta talked about a new independent TV station in Russia will help generate public discussions filled with good information. This week, RT.com has announced that Larry King will host a mold-breaking political talk show on RT from next month, speaking to both leading establishment figures such as the US President and those who are not afraid to go against the grain. This move by RT, the Russian government-owned TV network, hiring the veteran media king, hosting a political talk show deep in the American territory. There should be no issue in drawing audiences, and he is likely to be used to ask all the hard questions and generate more discussions that matter to the American people. Would Zetas like to elaborate on the hidden agenda motives on this move by RT? And could this make any positive contribution to the pending announcements and beyond for the American people and the rest of the world, i.e. counting on the cover-up crowds? King's career has spanned 56 years and more than 50,000 interviews, but he says the show will break new ground. The veteran broadcaster will not shy away from causing controversy or using his authority to give a chance to hear voices other medias ignore. Legendary American interviewer Larry King is joining Russian English language TV channel RT with a global reach of over 630 million people. RT will air the new show Politics with Larry King, produced by ORA TV in June, as well as Larry King Now, which was launched on Hula and Aura TV in July of 2012. The Moscow-based channel said in a statement, Russians have been free to hear about aliens and Nibiru on REN TV and TV3. Recently, a new public channel, OTR, was approved by Putin, completely independent from Russian political control by officials' decree. He stated that OTR will host discussions on how Russia will survive the flooding that will come with the pole shift, something politicians are expected to stonewall. Now RT, the English-Russian station, has joined the crowd. What is the nexus between the purely Russian station and RT, which has a clear link to English-speaking countries via RT? Larry King is likewise an American product, well known to the US and well known internationally. The need to educate the public about the impact the coming pole shift will have is paramount in many minds, but likewise the awareness that politicians will stonewall the impact, denying that the public must leave the coastlines or can anticipate rapidly rising seas. Dramatic climate change will likewise be stonewalled, as where some countries will gain a better climate, others will not. Migration is a huge worry among politicians who fear the populace of India and Indonesia will flee by any means possible. How to simultaneously educate the public with a Zeta Talk message, which the political elite of the world fear is more accurate than not, while they're preventing the panic and rioting. Larry King is expected to challenge politicians from Russia and the US with frank questions on his new show. If the politicians wave aside questions about the accuracy of Zeta Talk predictions, geological evidence of past cataclysm and current trends, they will at least have heard what the politicians are refusing to address. This allows the public to do their own research. The public will be educated by this process. Is Larry King the last such celebrity to assume such a role on the eve of the announcements admitting the near presence of Nibiru, aka Planet X? Anticipate other such celebrities known in other cultures in similar roles soon. Okay, my friends, you're all invited to join this channel by subscribing to End Times 23, which is a totally free subscription service. You're also invited to add me as a friend on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. Both the links are under this video. All this week's news links can be found on my website, endtimes23.com. The link is under this video. Just click on the link and go to the top left-hand corner of the opening page and click on Informer News Links. You will find all this week's news links at the top of the page under this week's titled video. Well, that's your lot for this week, my friends. I do hope you enjoyed the show. I'll be back with you in a week's time with another edition of Cosmic News. So until then, this is your Informer signing off. Friends, I'll see you on the flip side. Related to the experiments with humans, his Third Reich was seized by the Americans after the war. You continue working on the same line. Billions in taxpayers' money is invested in that area. This report originates from www.thinkaboutit.com and is titled Cosmic Top Secret by Richard Gall. Former US Army Colonel Robert Dean breaks his oath of secrecy to reveal details of the assessments of a highly classified NATO document concerning UFOs. For 27 years, Robert Dean served his country as a patriot and a soldier in the US Army. He led combat troops who came from people who worked there, had been kidnapped there, who helped in the construction, and also of persons of intelligence. This is based on a genetic laboratory which links to Los Alamos, which also developed the atomic bomb. It was always an area of highest security level. There is an underground connection between Dulce, Los Alamos and Dreamland, another base in Nevada. There are genetic organisms, studies and comparisons between other intelligent races and species with respect to the human and extraterrestrial biological structure performed. Genetic engineering experiments are carried out on humans with the aim to create new breeds. All material This is Informer News, your voice of the people. Timeline is Sunday the 30th of June 2013. Welcome along, my friends, to another edition of Informer News. Coming up in this week's broadcast, what your governments are doing behind the scenes regarding the coming Nibiru event. Career in 1951 and was in charge of intelligence operation patrols in South Vietnam in 1970. His long history in covert operations and intelligence gathering meant that Dean acquired a top secret security classification, and his expertise eventually earned him a prestigious job working for NATO at their supreme quarters of Allied Powers Europe, SHAPE, centre in Paris between 1963 and 1967. Dean's security classifications was then raised to cosmic top secret, the highest NATO possessed. This enabled him to work in the Supreme Headquarter Operations Centre SHOC. Plus, retired Marine reveals hidden government secrets on Planet X Nibiru, and whistleblower and former US Army Colonel Robert Dean breaks his oath of secrecy to reveal details of highly classified NATO documents concerning UFOs. Okay, into this week's news. This first report originates from aliennews.org and was posted on the 10th of December 2011. There is near Dulce, New Mexico, an underground base of horror, William F. Hamilton, cosmic top secret. The local sheriff was there every night. UFOs observed in this area, precisely dismembered cattle were found. Hamilton's information on this base